Why, hello, everybody. No intro because we're kind of just coming in a little bit hot. We were just watching penalties, Real Madrid and Manchester City to wrap up this quarterfinal round of the Champions League. And with me is German Dave, and I bet you German Dave is kicking quite well because it is the German show practically the last week. I mean, it's at this point, Serie A and Bundesliga practically have all but secured the top or the 5 spots for the Champions League. Dave, sehr gut.
Sehr gut. Wunderschön. Brother, we took out Manchester City. Thank you, Antonio Rüdiger. We took out Arsenal. F the Premier League, man. This was a win for all the farmer leagues. and we sent Atletico Madrid home with the best shithouse ball you can ever imagine against the ultimate shithouse team. Dude, I'm so happy. Hey, I don't even like Dortmund and Bayern. I'm Hertha Berlin fan, and my team is like fighting in second division right now. But hey, I am happy, man. I am happy for Germany.
Yeah, we've got a lot we're going to cover today. We're going to cover first. We're going to kick off with the Champions League. We'll review the quarterfinal, maybe preview a little bit of the Europa League games tomorrow because we kind of have some vested interest in those games. We wanted to talk about Bayer Leverkusen because it was, a history-breaking season, and we kind of want to, discuss it. Is it a fluke? Is it a Leicester City? Which both, and spoiler alert, Dave and I don't think it's a fluke, but there were a couple of things that went perfectly in that direction. Obviously, we'll talk about what Dave, or Canadian Dave, made as a thumbnail. I wasn't a big fan of the 7 minutes that they did. I listened to it, unfortunately, and I kind of have some thoughts on it because, granted, there's not really much there. And then we'll also react to some of the stuff on the Tinfoil Hat channel that you guys left on Discord as well. Vinny's asking, did Italy and Germany clinch the 5th spots? I would want to say 90. So Italy going into this was at 99.8, I believe. So if Atalanta draw, it is practically locked in tomorrow if Atalanta are able to get a draw. Doesn't matter what happens in the Roma or Milan game. That doesn't mean anything. If Fiorentina and Atalanta both get at least a draw tomorrow, mathematically, Serie A will clinch the 5th spot. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much all but done. However, mathematically, there's like a 0.1% chance. So, like, they haven't said it's entirely clinched. So, that factors quite well into Serie A, right? With the whole, final run for the top 4, or air quotes, top 5. But more than likely, Serie A is practically guaranteed at this point. Atalanta essentially did us a solid last week with the 3-0 win. And I think based off of what happened in the previous week in the Premier League, I think Liverpool are going to count their losses and go for that last Premier League title push more so than try to make the impossible happen in the Europa League. But I do digress. So we'll kick off with the Champions League, and we'll talk more some other leagues towards the end of the show when we have a little bit of time in passing. So the first thing that we wanted to talk about is Barcelona PSG. Recap this second leg here. Honestly, I knew Barcelona were going out. I didn't expect them to go out in the fashion that they did. With that red card, they were ahead. But I just, for me, the one thing I always had concern was with Barcelona was their defense and their inability to play defense. All season, weak defense. And you saw it right then and there. I can't pronounce his name. What is it? Araujo? 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 I can't even. Rojo. I'm thinking of red. So Araujo with one of the most dumbest challenges, dumbest shirt pulls I've ever seen on the professional level. Essentially just, put it in the end for Barcelona, and PSG capitalized in it. And, Luis Enrique was trolling because he was saying, hey, you guys told me that we weren't going to win and you guys picked Barcelona. And even Xavi got a red card in his last Champions League game for Barcelona because he is out at the end of the season. This game kind of showed to me that both teams, because, like, for example, obviously if Barcelona was at full strength, I think it's a different story. but it kind of showed me that neither of these teams are, Champions League winning quality.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, I think PSG has a favorable matchup with the next match here with Dortmund. In theory, right on paper, they're favored, but this one was a wild card. This one, I know you were excited about with the whole Dortmund Atletico match.
Oh, yeah.
Dortmund go up 2-0, Atletico equalize, and then Dortmund scored 2 unanswered goals, and they essentially, ironically, shithoused Atletico
Oh,
Madrid.
completely beautifully. It's like set with 9 men deep. Only Füllkrug was around the center of the pitch waiting for balls and to see if he can do some hold-up play or anything. But dude, after they took the lead and went effectively up on aggregate, dude, they shithouse balled the hell out of Atletico.
And here's the crazy thing: Atletico had 1.89 to Dortmund's 1.48,
Yep.
and Dortmund still scored 4 goals. Like that. That is the pure definition of shithouse ball. It's
Oh,
almost
yeah.
like it's almost like Allegri was coaching this team, ironically.
Oh, hell yeah.
But yeah, Dortmund going into the semifinals. That's going to be like you and I were talking about it before we went live about this match with PSG and Dortmund, where I think if Dortmund are able to escape Paris, we both
Oh,
agreed
yeah.
on it, right? If they escape Paris
Yep.
with a draw, I think Paris gets sent home in
Yep.
Germany.
Oh, absolutely. Dortmund can win that. Dude, Dortmund doesn't have a lot to play for anymore. Now that the 5th spot for Germany is also like effectively cemented for the Champions League, they don't have to concentrate as much on that, like they didn't the whole season. But on Tuesdays and Wednesdays in the championship, dude, Dortmund was magical this season. They survived the group of death, and they made it into the semifinals. And dude, wouldn't it be incredible that that Dortmund and Bayern would reach another Champions League final? No, I don't believe that. That was a bit hyperbolic, but yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting if that's the case. And Canadian Dave is checking in, coming back from the bar. He's gonna drop in later.
I
I
hope
don't know.
not
Is he
drunk.
gonna? I was gonna say, is he gonna drop in the chat or is he gonna drop in as in the actual video itself? That'd be interesting to see. And then recapping today's matches, snooze fest with Bayern Munich and Arsenal.
Yep.
That one was
Dude,
both teams pulling
that
at it.
was that was also Thomas Tuchel ball. Dude, they hit that goal. They didn't try anymore. Also set like with 9 men deep. Tuchel is the master that he won the Champions League that way against Manchester City, and like everything he won, brother. Dude,
Yeah,
Tuchel is on these international games. He is the master, like in a 1-game scenario, and yeah, it's basically 2 games, but with the tie he took like from London, I knew Bayern would win that. Arsenal is, he won't let Arsenal win in the Allianz Arena.
yeah, and also like for example, I thought Jorginho looked really well this game. I think he was really the only thing that was really providing any progressive movement for Arsenal going forward. So, just again, another feather in Jorginho's cap, and
Yep.
why Mr. Gentoli should be looking at Jorginho instead of spending 60 million on coop miners. But that's my opinion there. But yeah, the German Allegri strikes again in a sense there.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then this one, the master of pragmatism here, Carlo Ancelotti, essentially shithouse balled the shit out of
Get the hell
Manchester
out with
City.
those Premier League teams.
Yes. Yes. So looking at this game, right? If you look at this here, so they scored in the 12th minute and just sat back the entire game. And this is where I kind of find it
Oh, yeah.
ironic. So Sal posted this in our Discord where he said, I believe it was Phil Quitomidres, or it was someone on X, where he says, "This is an incredible defensive performance from Real Madrid. Whatever happens next, they were monsters in the back for 90 minutes, although completely non-existent in attack." And it's just like, okay, great. They do that, and then they get celebrated. We do that, and we get shat on. But it is what it is, right? You know, you have Vinny Jr. and a bunch of all-stars, and you literally
Oh
park
yeah,
the bus. But that's kind of the MO when it comes with the Italian coaches. It's always pragmatic displays, pragmatic plays. Look, Real Madrid 1.4 created only 1 goal. Had 3 big chances, missed 2. The opportunities were there, but it's just look, man, 33 shots, 9 on target, 3 big chances out of all of those shots from Man
I
City. And it's like,
everybody. I hope we see this in every single sport, every season, and let this be another lesson. Defense wins championships. All the
yeah,
teams that play pragmatic defensive style and no high fly, whatever ball possession ball, like City here or Arsenal, for example, brother, they got sent home by the teams that are playing good defense, and let this be a lesson to everybody that says, "Oh, I want a high counter pressing style. I want a high ball possession playing style. I want to go to the stadium and be entertained." No, shut the hell up. We want to to win, and you win by playing good defense first.
yeah, it's really how it's been. When you look at the previous winners of the Champions League, right? You'll have those occasional one season where, a high flying team wins. But when you
Yep.
look at it overall, and hell, I'll even pull it up for you right now to do you guys justice. But when you look at the overall Champions League winners chart, most of them, I want to say, let me be objective here. I want to say at least 60% of them are pragmatic rosters. There isn't, and obviously here I'm using Wikipedia, so like folks, just bear with me here. It's something I have on the fly, but I don't think Wikipedia will fuck up the list of Champions League winners here. But when we look at it here, so Inter Milan, Manchester City, high flying offense, technically got a pragmatic win against a pragmatic squad. Liverpool, high flying offense, lost to a pragmatic Real Madrid. Chelsea, pragmatic under Tuchel, won.
Against a high flying Man City.
Had a one, and the Hansi Flick, the COVID year with
Hey,
PSG.
as well, the same year. Great defense that year, setback, and like Paris was the high flying team, and they sent them home in the final.
Yep, Liverpool. That was again one of your high flying teams that won it. And then you go back
Yep.
here, Zidane's Real
Yeah,
Madrid.
but Liverpool we can take out of that equation because it was against Tottenham. So that one is maybe the
Yeah. So, like for example, Zidane's Real Madrids were very pragmatic sides. People don't understand that, but Zidane is extremely pragmatic. And then again, pragmatic one, high flying offense, ironically against us. Carlo Ancelotti's Real Madrid wins against Atletico Madrid. Dortmund here. Dortmund switched to that more pragmatic approach, or not Dortmund, Bayern Munich, because it was Gus Hiddink, I think, final season there. That was a
Jupankis.
Hinks.
Jupankis.
So it was his
Yeah.
last season pragmatic. Do I need to say anything about Roberto Di Matteo's Chelsea? Those were the
Dude,
masters of
that
sad.
oh yeah, that was the final at Munich, dude. They put like every single player on the goal line and defended like how they parked the bus properly.
Barcelona, Pep's Barcelona, high flying team.
Yep.
Jose Mourinho's Inter Milan,
Unbeatable in that time.
pragmatic as all hell, beats Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
This is again that 08-09 Super Barcelona team. They won there. Pragmatic. Again, pragmatic. All of these pragmatics, pragmatic play styles win you these games, not your De Zerbi balls. They don't get you there. And if you get there by playing De Zerbi ball, you lose in the final because you're playing against a guy that knows how to counter
No,
you.
you won't get into the final because you will get knocked the hell out in the knockout stages before that because you can't play a high flying ball in a two-leg game situation.
Yeah,
You
you
can
can't.
you can luck out and win one game, but with home and return game, you basically don't stand a chance with that high flying ball because if a team sits back, you are so dude, you're everybody's underestimating the tension you are on if you play on the occasion like the Champions League and the KO rounds. One
They
single mistake will cost you the whole damn thing. And if you have this high energy, high octane offensive playstyle, you will get caught out because you are playing against the best clubs in Europe, and they always find a way to catch you out if you have an obvious weakness like your defense.
Exactly. And that's where folks got to understand, right? Like it's kind of funny. Vlad's like Carlo won with every big team except Juve. God, he was a disaster when Ancelotti was here. Well, it kind of goes to show where if you have that balance, and hence that's why Italiano is trying to learn that pragmatic approach, because he lost the Conference League final because he was trying to go by his own philosophy, and that burned him at the end.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like the ideas that we want to instill in folks and understand. Like, stop with this yoga ball or joga ball, like for example the Brazilian ball that the Brazilians did from the 2000s to the 2010s, Spain's tiki-taka, and I want to say the golden generation of Spain's football. This kind of football, yes, it looks great on YouTube, it looks great on highlights, it looks great on that, but as far as long-term sustainability for larger clubs, they don't do it. Because, like, for example, you look at Pep Guardiola, he's only got one Champions League in roughly 7 seasons at Man City. And I thought he was the most offensive coach in the world. Same thing with Jurgen Klopp. One Champions League title. That's it. When you look at Carlo, who's got 2 with his current stint with Real Madrid, he's got 2 of them. Or is on the verge of getting 2 of them. I think there's no way he loses it this year. But he's got 1 in this era of Real Madrid, 1 in the Ronaldo era of Real Madrid, 2 with Milan. Like, Carlos never changed the way that he's gone about the game. He's always been pragmatic.
Oh, no. Yep.
The only difference is Ancelotti has the superstars around him to be, so he can be pragmatic and not make it look bad. Because when you have a midfield of Kroos, Modric, Valverde, and Jude Bellingham, that makes you look pretty damn good as a coach, because those guys are the best of the best. Not your Locatellis, not your Rabios, not your McKennies, because those are the value bin. I know you love Rabiot, Vlad, but he is a value bin player when you look at like the world elites at this point when it comes to the world-class players. So it's like, what else is there to say, right? You can see it, right? And the thing is, right? And here's the thing with this. I'm not envisioning Juve to compete for Champions League in the next 2 or 3 years. It's a fallacy, right? Unless we have the perfect storm, which is what we'll get into the next segment here. Perfect storm of acquiring the right players, getting the right coach. Because more than likely, I think Allegri's out of here at the end of the season. Unless something crazy happens.
If we can trust all the dumb reporters.
Yeah, because all these reporters are absolute dog shit. Oh yeah, Felipe Anderson, guaranteed deal. Just kidding, he's going to Palermo. But we want to talk about, and it's, it's funny, the same reporter that fucked that up is the one that said Motta and Juve have officially signed together and Motta's going to be the coach next year. So I can't wait for that to just fall through, just in spite of him. But that also throws a big wrench. And Beppe kind of covered it in a video this morning where he says, you guys got to be careful with what you wish for now, because we'll get to it later. But I want to give credit. I want to give kudos to Bayern Leverkusen. I want to give credit to their board, their director, sporting director. I want to give credit to Xabi Alonso. Go for it. Go on.
Hold up there. No. Just 1 second. Pragmatic playing style. 3-4-2-1. That's what I'm saying.
3-4-1-2 or 2-1? Oh my goodness! What? That's crazy.
Wing backs, 3 central defenders. That won you a championship. Hey, I'm just saying.
I know it's bonkers. But in all honesty though, right? Like it's a big thing. And one of the things that I've been seeing on the internet, and a bunch of Juventini commenting on this as well, there's some Juventini that are saying it's a fluke. There's some Juventini that say, well, shit, they did it. Why can't we do this? See, look, Xabi Alonso came in and did it in 18 months and won the Bundesliga title. And this is where I really have an issue with folks, right? Football is like, for example, like Formula One, like any other sport, is a collaborative approach from the
Oh
owner
yeah.
to the sporting director to the scouting staff to the management to the players.
To the
For
medical
Bayern,
team, everything, every single part of the club needs to work hand in hand.
and this is where, because like for example, everybody giving Xabi Alonso credit for Bayern Leverkusen does not do justice to their board, because their board had probably one of the most outrageous summer transfer windows I have ever seen. I have
Yep.
never seen all of these, and we'll pull up the list here and we'll talk about it. But I have never seen the list of transfers that have come in and impacted the roster in the way that they have. So let's look at it,
Yep.
right? So you have Tella that came in from Southampton as one of their mainstays. You have Boniface, who came in for 20 million from Union. Granit Xhaka, I'm a big avid supporter of him. Came in as their main regista.
Absolutely.
Hoffman as well. And then you have Arthur as a right back / right wing back. Kovar, Grimaldo, Boria Iglesias as a depth piece. Kovar, their goalkeeper. So, like for example, and you look at the average age range of this, there is a diverse group of age range for all of these players
Yeah.
that have come in that are
Yeah.
playing for this team. It is not just next gen players. It is not just
Yeah.
youth team players. You have some here from the under 19s, but you see it's a broad portfolio of different players. And 90% of the players that came in just this window alone have contributed to
Yeah.
this team.
Yeah.
90%, which is insane. I have never seen a transfer market this good. And you want to know who funded practically a good chunk of this? Diaby, leaving for 55
Yes.
million, essentially
Yes.
brought
Villa,
you
another Premier League club.
the Premier League essentially funded Bayer Leverkusen's run to the top, because with just Diaby being sold, you got Boniface, you got Tella, and then you have some residue that you're able to get Xhaka with. Those three players, especially Xhaka, in my opinion, who is probably one of the most
100%.
underrated registas out there. He is a
Yeah.
three-level, two-way player. Defensively stout, physically aggressive, creatively great, can shoot and can create damn good passes. And he hit a piss rocket recently for Leverkusen as
Oh
well
yeah.
from 40 yards out.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
wanna know who Juve have in that slot? His name is Manuel Locatelli, and we're gonna get into him a little bit because I did some research into his Sassuolo days and what position he played in and how he played in their formation, because a lot of people kept telling me, and I kept seeing a lot of people saying he isn't a deep holding player, he plays as an 8. We're gonna talk because I found Sassuolo's formation, and it is not a 4-3-3. It is a 4-2-3-1 that we'll get into. But I don't want to take away from Leverkusen's time right now. But Dave, anything you want to talk about here?
So, like you said, nearly every single player of those worked out great. Like Nathan Teller is the backup. He's a right winger, but they brought him in to be a rotational right wing back to Jeremy Frimpong, and to have him as like assistant right offensive midfielder. He worked perfectly. Like he didn't see like any big minutes the first half of the season. The second Frimpong went down, he started cooking. Victor Boniface, the brother was going off till he got injured shortly before the Africa Cup, and he missed like until the beginning of April. Like right now, he was out 4 months. They have Patrick Schickster, who they bought 1.5 years ago, I believe, and
They took
was
him from Roma.
injured for an Achilles tear or some. I don't remember 100%, but it was one of those devastating injuries. Came back and filled that role perfectly. Boria Iglesias was basically just a backup plan in case if there's like any problems with Boniface's recovery plan. Brother, 1 billion loan deal just for security. Nothing to say about that. Kovar is their second goalkeeper right now, and they want to lead him to be the starting goalkeeper the next couple of seasons, because their starting keeper Radetzky is well above 30, I believe, as well. Dude, Granit Xhaka, you talked about it. The man like is a magician in the midfield, and I think he just like nobody looked at him properly because he broke that 30 mark, and I think we are disrespecting our old players. He's high energy, like you said, high octane. The brother is physical, defensively stout. His build-up play is amazing. He fits like everything you need from your register, basically. Jonas Hofmann, they brought in for cheap from Borussia Mönchengladbach, played the first half of the season right next to Wirtz because they play two offensive midfielders, and Boniface right in front because Boniface is a great passer. They pass it to him, he passes back to them, and one of them can finish, or Boniface shares it to Grimaldo or Jeremy Frimpong, who are always like cutting in at the second post and finishing from there. But like every player fits perfectly. Arthur was also basically just a rotational piece if anything goes wrong, because Frimpong had the past years like problems with injuries. He didn't see a lot of minutes, but I think he's a great talent as well, and he's 20. I'm damn. If he sees some minutes, he may go off as well. Like Grimaldo for free. Xabi Alonso picked the phone up himself and called him and said, brother, come here. We will build you up. We will build your value up and everything. Come here and we will do magic together. Brother, they won the Bundesliga. Like they're right now on path to be the greatest Bundesliga team in history. The all-time points record is 91. And by Bayern München, one of the Pep Guardiola seasons, I believe 2012, if I'm correct. But yeah, hey, they're on the way to do history. Josip Stanisic is a loan from Bayern Munich. He didn't see any minutes with Bayern last season. They loaned him to Leverkusen. The brother played right back against Bayern. Oh, sorry, right wing, right sided center back, or even right wing back. I don't remember 100%. But the brother scored against Bayern Munich, and that was basically the game they cemented the league after that, because they didn't fall off or anything like that. And yeah, brother, every single transfer worked out perfectly and 100% like fit the system that Xabi Alonso wanted to install, and with not a lot of money spent. Like for the Bundesliga, yes, it is a lot of money, but for a whole roster rebuild, dude, perfect.
Yeah. And here's where, and that's the big thing, where for this to work for us, for this rebuild, if we are going to do this and say that Allegri is out and you get Thiago Motta, like I've said this, I've tooted this horn, and I will toot the horn again. To fund a proper rebuild, you will need to sell Chiesa,
Yes.
Dusan, or Bremer. One of the three have to go.
Yeah.
One of the three have to go.
In addition to young players, by the way.
Yes.
If we sell Chiesa, that brings us only 40 million, and that brings you in today's market only like one good player, or one great player, good to great player, let's say. If you want to strengthen further, you have to sell also some young players to fund the rest of the rebuild.
Yes, and one of the things I'm very concerned with, because I've been seeing the links all over the damn place, is Koop Meiners. Apparently, we're linked heavily to Koop Meiners, and his price tag is roughly about 60 million, right? I
don't believe that.
I'm not a big fan, right? I'm not a big fan of that move, to be honest with you. I'm not, right? And this is kind of just reporters being reporters, right? Because, like, for example, we've had an absolute joke of a week with these reporters, right? With the whole Felipe Anderson is going to be, done and sealed and ready to go. And then all of a sudden he just absolutely U-turns you and goes to Brazil and says, yeah, F that. I'm not dealing with this. And that's where I'm just kind of like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you journalists either don't say anything or at least be right about it.
either they didn't know jack shit and reported anyway because more and more reporters starting reporting on it nearing to be a done deal, or someone lied to them and they reported it anyway. So whatever of the two it was either negligence or it was just them copywriting each other, basically.
It is, right? And this kind of goes into a lot of, like, for example, the questions that a lot of Juventini are throwing out there. Well, see, Alonso did it in 18 months. Why? What's going to stop Motta from doing that in 18 months? Well, the question is how well can Giuntoli cook in the Mercato, right? How well is he going to be able to perform? Because, like, for example, if we're grading Giuntoli off of January, it was atrocious. It was terrible. It was not good, right? For me, yes, you had limited funds, but, like, for example, when you look at it, you get Giallo in a sense just to stop Inter from getting Giallo, and where now he's being linked to be part of a deal with Genoa to get Goodmanson. So I guess he was just kind of that. So we spent $2 million on that, right? In theory, this is just kind of me looking at it from that perspective. You got Charlie, where you spent $4 million for, and absolutely wasted $4 million, in my opinion, knowing, and this is where I find it extremely frustrating, knowing that you don't have a proper regista on the roster, you don't have a proper ball playing midfielder. And this is where I look at it and it's like, really, this is all you can do. I'm not burying Giuntoli. I want to make that exquisitely clear, right? I'm not burying him. But when you see that you lost,
not at all. No.
when you see that you lost Pogba, you see that you lost Fagioli, I don't understand how you didn't pivot, how you didn't look for a 6-month option to get not a regista-esque player or a player that's able to facilitate the ball with Locatelli. Because that's the question that I have. And for me, I'm concerned, and obviously, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I don't like how people sit here and they'll say, oh, Allegri X, Allegri Y, Allegri Z, Allegri A, Allegri B, Allegri this. And like I said, folks, in chat, please do understand. I'm saying in the near future, like in this current time, some of these players like Giallo and Adic might pull something off in a season, half a season from now, etc. That's fine. I'm saying, for example, looking at where he was now and addressing the needs of it. So because IFTV said this, and folks are like, oh, well, Juve just want the season to be done with, and yada, yada, yada. They had one game a week and blah, blah, blah. So now here's where, everything kind of gets flipped. If the objective was top 4 from the board and they acted in January because they had enough for top 4, then why are you guys losing your shit at just the coach, right? Where if y'all wanted the title, you can go after your sporting director and say, hey, man, you lost 2 of your creative midfielders and you didn't replace them. You replaced them with Charlie, who Charlie is offensive only. Charlie was never an alternative to Locatelli, nor had the skill set to be an alternative to Locatelli. You can say, like, it's like Vlad saying, it's a flex tape signing. But at the end of the day, and we have Dave in Macedonia.
So today we have a Macedonian Dave as well.
Do you have to use AOL, the AOL CD to dial up on the internet?
No, go on. It's not that bad. Do I sound all right? My audio good?
Everybody missed your voice.
Yeah, crisp.
You guys, did I miss the Claymore yet or what?
No. We saved it for the end. We saved it for the end.
Hey, look at that hair, man. You don't need to cover it up with a cap all the time.
I know. Just let them Canadian locks flow.
I got a haircut first day. First day I was here. Proper European haircut,
People says he missed you, Davidonian.
I miss you guys too. It's good to be back.
But one thing that we're talking about, Dave, is we were talking about more so the whole Leverkusen and their transfer market just being absolute like success with players that they purchased, and then us kind of busting. And in reality, it's just kind of like one of those things where you have to look at it from a holistic approach, right? If Gentoli wanted to go for the title and didn't address the biggest fucking holes we had on the roster, then why are you people, burning Allegri at the stake versus looking at it from a holistic approach and saying, hey, you didn't fill the squad out properly this January. And this isn't us like I said, we're not trying to bury Gentoli. We're throwing in a different perspective for folks to understand, hey, look, there's multiple pieces that factor into this. Gentoli is going to get a report card at the end of in the summer. There isn't going to be a time where, like, for example, Gentoli is going to be absolved from everything. He will be evaluated.
Yeah, it's true though. Everyone needs a scapegoat. That's the problem. And I've been frustrated with this. I think we've all been frustrated with this around here. And man, the Discord today, who posted it there, they were just up in Real Madrid so much with how they played defensively. And it's just like I was sitting there watching, it's like I am so used to this style of play right now. Just like sitting back. Real Madrid didn't get a corner kick until like the 103rd minute.
Yeah.
Yep. Literally in extra time. That was the first proper attack where they got the corner.
Well,
it was like they hadn't attacked in like 95 minutes at that point.
The only attack they did was when they scored the goal, and then when Vinicius pulled his hamstring. Like those were the only two attacks, and it was funny because I was watching the match and I was telegraphing. I'm like, oh, look at that. Real Madrid is filling the box with a bunch of players in the middle, forcing Man City out wide. And the only way Man City will get a goal is if somebody slips or fucks up a clearance. And guess what? Rudiger does that, and it falls right in front of De Bruyne. And there you go.
But my brother, Rudiger, cleaned his mistake up and finished them off properly.
That was a good penalty. That was a very nice penalty. I'm going to give you that.
What was? Have we mentioned Ederson taking a penalty?
We talked about it before we went live, but it was just kind of funny because that's like such a Pep Guardiola. Because here's the thing, right? Like Pep Guardiola, as much as people stroke this man off as like a tactical genius, made some of the most stupid substitutions that game. Like, for example,
I was surprised.
Like Haaland doesn't get any chances for the first 90 minutes. You sub him off, and then you have Julian Alvarez and Phil Foden in the Haaland position, shanking shots that Haaland would make. So I'm like sitting there. I'm like what?
But Pep is doing that the whole season already because either Haaland regressed like with his play, or he has become arrogant and just doesn't try to fall back and create anything. Haaland has become just a pure box striker and doesn't do anything else. And what they needed was a little bit of quickness, a little bit more, the strikers being connected. And Alvarez is good at that because he fought actually a little bit back. I can understand that thought, but I don't know if in this case you want to take out your number one striker who is the best at converting chances, but I can understand the thought behind it, at least somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, it was late in the game. He played a full 90. I do understand that, but I don't know. It was Haaland. You would have expected him to continue to play that match.
Yeah, for sure. And that's right, where you need your best players to be there to make those plays. And it's, again, like, it's just right now, and in my opinion, and this is going to throw a lot of people, but I think Dusan Vlahovic, at the current rate that he has been progressing at, is better than Haaland. You heard me say it.
We talked about it. We talked about it a week ago, and it has absolute reason because Vlahovic is showing us a facet of his game that he didn't have before. Like, he, in my opinion, finally grew up. He falls back. He can pass the ball actually. like he shares the ball to Chiesa or to whoever the wing back is. Our main problem is getting the ball to Vlahovic, because the ball doesn't get there most of the
Yep.
time. But if he has the ball, dude, the pass game and what he has done, like, creatively, I absolutely love it. And in my opinion, he fits way better than Haaland to that Pep Guardiola squad, because he needs a striker that also can share the ball somehow.
Yeah, and this is so one thing I know I wanted to cover, and we'll transitioning this into more of a Juve base conversation here now towards the latter half. I was listening to this and I was hearing people talk about why don't Juve play a 3-4-3. It was talked about in the Discord. I listened to Matteo Bonetti whine the last half hour of that entire match. Why don't they play Chiesa, Dusan, and Yildiz in a 3-4-3? And I'll tell you why. If Juve play with just two midfielders, they are fucked in the middle of the pitch.
Oh yeah,
absolutely screwed. Because tactically, right now, what Juve likes to do is similar to what Real Madrid did to Manchester City. They know midfield-wise, it's it. Most teams will beat them in the midfield. So what they do is they bunch up in the middle and force teams out wide. Cross it, ball is over in. Trust that Bremer, Danilo, and Gatti will head them out and clear them. That's pretty much what the game plan is defensively for Juve. And people can hate it, but they have one of the best defenses in Serie A. Because the reason is it becomes predictable to predict an opposing team's offense when you're the one that's conducting their offense for them, when you're forcing them in a position. When you don't do that, and you do a 3-4-3, that means you're spreading your resources out wider instead of centralizing them. So then you isolate certain players in one-on-one situations, and it requires a lot of players to drop down to sit back in defense, because when you do play something like that, you absolutely expose the middle part of the field. And when you expose the middle part of the field, that gives a team any direction or carte blanche to attack you. And then you don't know where or who to cover because of how wide you're spread. And that means they walk straight through the middle. And if a team goes right through the middle against Juventus, that's it. It's game over. They're done.
And we've kind of said this. You know, I'm a 4-3-3 fan myself. We all have issues with the 3-5-2, but it's unfortunately the best formation with the people that we have right now. It's infuriating to say it, but it's true. It's what we got, and it's what we have to work with until we do something in the summer that would say otherwise. But I mean, winger options are falling off the table as we speak. So,
oh yeah, like flies.
So what do we do? We're not the only ones clearly that are desperate for wingers. Yeah. And they're getting snapped up.
I know. Brazil's desperate for wingers. They took Anderson right under our nose, bastards.
That was wild. Nobody expected that.
Yeah, so thanks to the journalists.
Thanks to the damn journalists for being ass. But looking at this right here, so this is the 3-4-3. And the reason why I say and this is the reason why I'm concerned with the 3-4-3 is you have this huge gaping hole in the middle of the pitch. This spot right here becomes extremely volatile because you don't have a dedicated person to hold that spot. And if you don't, that means if I'm an opposing team member and if I take this spot of the pitch, I've officially beaten you. Because Loca and Rabiot will then get dragged out wide to compensate for certain offenses or certain styles of attack, which then forces these two to cover way too much and effectively takes them out of the game. And then that forces Dusan to play deeper to cover that space. And then that forces it's a mess with what we have. You saw it against Lazio. It's bad. It's really, really bad.
Oh yeah.
So the reason why we do it like this instead, so sorry, Yildiz, you're going back to the bench here. The reason why we have it like this, because this is how we normally line up, is because you've officially jumbo packaged the midfield. So when you're looking at this from a tactical perspective, is that most teams in Serie A like to use 3 to 4 midfielders. If you play a 3-4-3, you are effectively playing with 2. Despite the ability for McKennie and Cambiaso to invert and do all that other jazz and yada, yada, yada. If they slip into the midfield, you've officially lost that wing. Because Yildiz and Chiesa cannot be relied upon defensively, especially Yildiz with his size. As much as I love Yildiz, he is small. He is tiny physically.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Sule as well. Even if Sule were to come back into it to do a 3-4-3. I say it because if a team overruns your midfield in a defensive block, even if you're playing defense and a team overruns your midfield, you are screwed royally from a tactical perspective. The reason why Real Madrid held on against this Manchester City, because they survived. It wasn't them going to the Etihad and being a beast.
No, they didn't try. They didn't try. They closed shop. They closed the shop and hoped to get through, and they goddamn did.
And that's how it is. They locked things up and they just held out, and it worked to perfection. Same thing kind of happened with Juve and Torino. Do I agree and say that was the best approach to go with it? No, I think they should have won that game. Unfortunately, we couldn't convert our chances in the first half. But that's how it's always been. That's how Juve have always been throughout the decades. There hasn't been an instance where Juve never did something like this. Juve has always played this kind of style. Hell, they did something similar to like this, but with a different formation against Kylian Mbappe's Monaco that lit up Man City the round before in the 16-17 season.
I feel like if this was the 90s, we would be praising this style.
Yeah.
I am praising this style. I love it. I have no problem with it. You just
I have no problem. Well, that's what the guys asked.
You just need
the guys asked me that
with the right players.
Yeah, the guys asked me that tonight. Which game was better, the PSG Barca game or tonight's game? And I was just straight up like, you know what? Most people would say last night's game was the better one to watch, and from a neutral perspective, it was. But tonight's game was the better game from a tactical point of view, from the strategy of it all. It was a better game, and this is what Allegri is trying to do with just way shittier players, just way lower caliber of players right now, because. I mean, Real Madrid takes off Kroos and puts in Modric. What other team does that?
Nobody. Nobody. Only Man City could do something like that.
Exactly, right? So we probably saw the two best teams go at it tonight. And It was still boring as hell to watch for the average viewer.
But it was a damn tactical battle between them.
For me,
it was still fascinating.
So I'm going to answer Oscar's question here because Oscar has a very good question. He's asking, how can a 4-4-2 be so defensive if the midfield is getting overrun? I'm asking because I'm curious. Good thing I have the board, Oscar, so we shall show you here. So Real Madrid do this very unique, even though on paper it's a 4-4-2, but this is Jude Bellingham here. So what Jude does is Jude drops in and occupies the middle. So, like, for example, you have Kroos or you have Camavinga that's over here. Valverde he's an auxiliary midfielder that plays as a right mid. I don't care. Valverde to me is hands down one of the best utility players in the world right now.
Absolutely.
So when Real Madrid was defending, all of these players would bunch up right here. So they're bunching up and they're forcing they're forcing City here. The entire game, City was forced into these positions here. And then, like, for example, some of the counterattacks that they did was more so either it was Bellingham or it was Kroos or it was somebody finding Vinny in stride. That was the game plan with how they attacked. There wasn't anything different. They didn't do anything different.
For a counterattack with it and using Vinny's speed to their advantage.
Because Jude Bellingham is lined up like this. And, in the starting lineup, Jude looks like this next to Vinny. And it's a 4-4-2. But in theory, Jude actually plays like this. So that's to answer your question on how a 4-4-2 can be so defensive. When you have a player that's a great all-arounder like Jude and Valverde, you can do something like this. And that kind of goes like, for me, Valverde is McKennie, but 100 times better. Because Valverde can play anywhere. Anywhere, just kind of like McKennie.
McKennie apparently is playing his...
Go for it.
Talk.
Macedonian Day.
Yeah, no. I was just gonna make the McKennie joke because Vlad put some more drops down today with Mrs. Fratesi.
He's playing with Fratese's sister. he's like, hey, I can't get in contract negotiations when I'm banging this baddie over here. I need more money. He's like, I gotta have that high value lifestyle. I can't get off of this with $2 million net. He's like, well, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and my condolences to the Danes as well, because he had that big fire there. So I don't know if you guys heard about that. The old 400-year-old building there in Denmark.
Actually.
Yeah.
Nope.
So my condolences. That was a sad ordeal there. But sorry, back to footy.
Go ahead, German Dave.
I just wanted to add to your point about Valverde. He is basically McKennie that is better at everything that McKennie does, including scoring worldies. The brother can score from everywhere on the pitch.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We're simping. It sounds like we're simping so hard right now.
We are simping for any midfielder.
but it's just contrast, right? What happens when you actually have the correct pieces, that things do fall in. They all fall into place, and even then, the wheels could have fallen off of Real Madrid tonight very easily. There were so many missed chances from Man City, so even Real Madrid plays on the edge with all those world-class players. And we're trying to do it with Moretti and McKennie and Rabiot. You know, it's not to say that these guys are trash. There are players. We love them. But they're not a Toni Kroos or a Modric or Valverde. Like, we have to be honest with ourselves,
or
right?
Chouameni or Camavinga or Valverde or
the list.
Or
the list goes on.
Yeah, and for more so, it's like, I think for me, it's like, it's the double standard, right? Where it's like, for example, oh, he's got dinosaur tactics, and then you're just kind of like, okay, great, Carlo Ancelotti used the same damn thing against Man City. That's where it's like, for example, we need to be able to, because I can understand why people hate him.
Inter used it in the Champions League final against Manchester City and nearly won if Lukaku wouldn't have played as additional defender for Manchester City.
That's kind of what we want to instill with you guys, is we want to show you guys that it's just like, yes, if it's with the worst players possible or the wrong players, it looks atrocious. But when you take this and you actually build a damn roster that makes sense, you can play terror ball, but make it enjoyable.
Yep.
Because Dortmund plays terror ball this season. Their coach instilled terror ball. Like, German Dave can confirm it. Dortmund.
Absolutely. That was my point. Yeah.
Dortmund out Atletico Madrid.
Which is wild.
Which is insane.
Yeah, when I saw that score line, I was like, wow, because I was obviously watching the other game, but like, Dortmund, my lord.
Yeah, man. Hey, just to add to Vlad's point, that's what I also said earlier to Dash when we were talking before the stream. You can't fight Manchester City like in a basketball game. You can't go up and down against them. They will cook you, because they had at the 85th minute and 90% like passing percentage, pass completion percentage. They are so sure with the ball. You can't, like, if you play basketball with them, you have no chance.
No chance whatsoever.
Terror ball is the answer. That's just it.
So kind of we'll move into the final segment because I know this is why Macedonian Dave is here. So IFTV released another video where their entire title is Allegri is ruining Chiesa, and they went on a 7-minute monologue on how how Allegri's boring on interviews and the players are just ready for the season to be over. And, Chiesa's was this incredible player and was, absolutely massacred and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, I understand that, like, for example, yes, this Juventus is bad. No way is it good. I'm not defending that. My issue is that you are taking all of these negatives and you are throwing it on one individual.
Yeah.
Which to me
which is never fair in any situation.
It isn't. It isn't. And Vlad, can you send me the link of that? Because I want to show that on screen because I can't show the video on screen just for copyright purposes. But
did Sunday League coach go at them? I can't wait to see.
He should. I mean, as he should, because Sunday League coach to me is like one of the few people that can sit there and discuss things with rationale on the internet. Like he
Except
is one
those times when he just trolls you.
Except but no, it makes sense, right? But for me, it's one of those things where I just look at things and I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like when I was listening to it, and it's just like, it was literally, I feel like Allegri, everybody hates him and they're waiting for the season to be over. And they only played one game a week and the season didn't go out as how they planned it to be. And it's like, dude, since the beginning of the summer, they said, hey, top 4 finish.
That's it.
Not for finish.
But then that's the defeatist mentality, right? If you listen to, some of the people out there, that's it's Juve. You always got to go for the Scudetto.
Hey, but that makes me so angry. Yeah, please do that with 200 million debt, with no Champions League, with no money, with always having to rebuild something with your squad. Yeah, have fun winning a Scudetto that way. Football doesn't work this way.
Personally, I'd rather them just be straight. And this is the double standard, right? People get mad at Allegri because, for instance, these past few games, he always looks at the positives, like, oh, this was a good game, even though we tied 0-0 or whatever. Okay, so if you get mad at him for flourishing things, why are we getting mad at him when he's calling it straight? He's been saying since the beginning, top 4. He's been calling that straight from the beginning, and you're not happy with that either. So it just sounds to me that these people cannot be pleased. They're just going to be upset.
Nope.
So when you can't toe a single line one way or the other, it discredits anything you say because you're all over the place. Pick a side. What are you? Are you happy? You're not happy? You sound honestly, and I'm saying I'm just talking generally to the Twitterverse and the internet there. I mean, you sound like a bitch at the end of the day. That's all it is.
Yeah. No, hating on Allegri is just, dude, that is just fucking clickbait. It's nothing more. The brother is one of the winningest coaches in Serie A history. He won 6 Scudettos, I believe, if I remember correctly. The brother won nearly everything. And you call him a dinosaur, his tactics a dinosaur? How about looking at our team that is like just a couple of ingredients thrown into a broth and hoping it turns out like great. But you threw in I don't know what that made it bad. It just doesn't work that way. Dude, our team can't play together like this. And they can play together, but that's why it looks how it does. It's not because of the coach. Why can other teams do that with a 3-5-2? Look at the top team. Why can they do it? Is their coach better than our coach?
And maybe not. Like at the end of the day, it's so the stats. It's who wins the league.
Sorry. Is he 20 points better than our coach? I rephrase like that. No, he isn't.
Okay, and that's fair, right? Like anything, you have to put it into context. Yes, at the end of the season, the best teams win. Sure.
Yeah.
But when you look at under a microscope, it's like looking at cells under a microscope, right? The cells are the same. You might notice slight differences from this one to the other, but under the microscope, they're the same thing, more or less. They replicate. They copy each other. It's just, I'm going to go back to the Android iPhone wars. Which one's better? They steal off each other. They're the same thing. They make a phone call. They go on Twitter. Allegri, Ancelotti, Inzaghi. You take all these top coaches. Yes, there's differences. There's slight changes. At the end of the day, they're all trying to achieve the same thing.
Yeah, and like for example, the whole Chiesa being massacred. So I have all of his stats from his entire Serie A, and the crazy thing about it is the guy's been in Serie A for 8 years, which is insane. So you look at his best season, which was 1920, 10-6, and then the Pirlo year, or the first half, essentially 2021. I don't know why the numbers here are a little bit skewed. So you have Fiorentina and Juve, so both of those. So he went 9-9, 18 contributions, where he popped off that year, and then ACL tear, and then recovery from the ACL in this season. It's on an upward trajectory. It's not like I love how people are throwing the ACL tear on the coach. Like that to me, like, what kind of argument is that?
The one argument I will take, people like to compare to Del Piero, where it took him a couple years. Okay, let's see next season. Maybe he picks it up. He's got a couple years of recovery. Sure, I can kind of get that angle, but it's still not. How's it the coaches? I'm sorry. I'm getting mad again because it's the double standard, because apparently Allegri ruins every single player and he doesn't play the youth, but he's increased the value of Bremer. He's played all the youth. He's making money off a bunch of youth, supposedly in the next coming weeks. So again, which argument are we taking?
And by the way,
players, or is he building players?
And by the way, Vlahovic's value raised as well, and we never thought that we will see that again.
Dusan is playing the most complete football he's played in his entire career. Coming from me.
Yeah, you trashed him for so long.
Hey, we all did. Dude, we are calling everything like we see it. We don't overreact, we don't underreact. We call everything like we see it. And I was calling out Chiesa for playing like shit the whole season, and you guys know that. And the past games, I give him props because he's not glued to the left side anymore, thankfully. But for everybody to say he ruined Chiesa, it's not true. The brother played left winger anyway, even though we didn't want him to do, he still did it. The brothers' heat maps are the same, like Vinny Jr. or whoever you choose as a favorite winger, or Rafael Leao, etc. The brother is still playing his position, which effectively takes him out of the equation if you play with the 3-5-2, because he plays out of position. He's not anywhere to be found to get the ball to him if he's isolated on the left side when the ball circles around. He's completely isolated on an island, and that's on him, not on the coach.
Those few times when he does play centrally, and we've pointed it out in lives when it has happened.
Yeah,
and we're like, oh, Chiesa's playing centrally. Look, he's getting chances.
Yeah.
Or when he moves to the right, oh, hey, he's creating because he can actually see the field, right? Like that's kind of like we want Chiesa to succeed. And this is where I get irritated, because someone's going to watch this and not look at it from a proper perspective and look at these Allegri stands, look at these Allegrianos, and it's like, dude, are you serious right now? And this is where we'll say it here live on camera. We aren't married to an individual in this club. We are married to the club itself. We're not married.
I'm only married to one individual, and they don't play for Juve.
Yeah. He's Canadian.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
We've always made our takes. We've always made our thoughts in the benefit of the entire club. For example, We've backed Allegri. We've criticized Allegri. I've criticized him on substitutions. I've criticized him on lineups. He is not absolved. He has made issues. Same thing, for example, Dusan is the best example. I hated him for a good chunk. He irritated the hell out of me with his play style and his arrogance. He's also impressed me with his maturity and his adjustments. Chiesa just needs to do the same.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And this is where, for example, go ahead.
No, I didn't want to interrupt your cooking. I just wanted to say, hey, Vlahovic proved us wrong, and that's why we changed our opinion on him. So it's not on us to change our opinion on the player if he doesn't prove us anything. It's on the player to prove anything or to play some kind of productive football so we can actually change our opinion. It's on him to change that, not on ours.
And the problem that, like, for example, IFTV making that tag in that video and not really discussing it properly. Do you understand if Chiesa flops in the Euros, your entire narrative goes down the drain? Because this unfortunately puts Chiesa, because of the Allegri hate that's out there, this puts a lot of unnecessary, because you don't want to tell me that Chiesa isn't reading this shit on X or Instagram or seeing this anywhere on social media, because you're going to put so much pressure on this guy in the Euros. And if he flops, which is looking quite likely, unless he finds something within him to turn it completely around, this poor kid is going to get buried career-wise, because then they're going to say,
which
hey,
formation?
Exactly.
What's Spalletti
honestly,
playing? What are we doing?
Honestly, I hope we sell him before the Euros, that we get a deal done before that, because if he replays at the Euros, his value will tank even more. That's what I'm scared of. That's what I'm scared of, because he will be like on one of the world's biggest stages, like in football sense, and he plays like dog shit there. Hey, goodbye to even 40 million.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful too, because we are looking at extending the contract of Chiesa, and a lot of people, I feel, think that this is Chiesa just getting a contract extension, and there's part of that agenda that Mata's coming in. We're going to keep Chiesa. Chiesa's going to be great under Mata. This could very well just be putting another year on Chiesa's contract so we can sell him for more money. It could be that simple. We don't know.
We don't know that. We know jack shit.
Exactly. And the Euros could very well change it all, for better or worse.
It can. And what's to stop him from getting injured during the Euros as well? If, like I said, if he flops, because, like, for example, Spalletti is no way in hell a great coach, in my opinion. He's a pragmatic coach. He's not this amazing offensive guru that everyone. One great season with Napoli. That is practically the epitome of his career. He was a table setting coach. That's what I've always viewed Spalletti as. He popped off with Roma because, like, for example, were people saying that Claudio Ranieri was the greatest coach ever with Leicester City? It was an incredible feat. It was amazing. But it's a similar thing with Spalletti and Claudio Ranieri. Because guess what? Both of them, the season after, deuces. Adios, muchacho. Yep. And this is where I'm extremely concerned with Chiesa, is if he doesn't perform under Spalletti, then we have a Mom Spalletti situation. It's not going to be good. It's going to be very bad for them, especially for us, because, and like I said, if Mota does come in, Dusan, Bremer, or Chiesa is getting sold. One of those three is getting moved.
I got a neutral theory. Chiesa turns into the next Bernardeschi and plays for Toronto in a couple years.
Yeah, but can we cash in something before that?
I would. Probably not. No, it's a Berna situation. I joke, of course. I don't want that to happen, but it happened to Berna.
If he keeps playing like this, it's not out of the realm.
And then my and Vlad is reading my mind. If Loca is not a deep lying midfielder, then why is Spalletti playing him there? Why is he
He
forcing
was
him to be a
trying
backup?
him out, I think.
But every time Locatelli's come in, he's played that role. And here's something funny, guys. So I did some Sassuolo digging. When Locatelli was at Sassuolo, you want to know their most common formation, and guess where Loca played? It was a 4-2-3-1, and Loca was playing the deep holding midfielder. Because for the longest period of time, everyone was telling me that this guy is an 8. But in reality, he's just a poor man Sami Khedira. Because the player that played next to him was the ball setter, the ball controller, the table setter, and everything. And Loca was the holding mid that covered and didn't facilitate the play. He was essentially what Sami Khedira was to Miralem Pjanic in that formation, but with just not as much skill as Sami Khedira. Isn't that crazy? So
That
it's
is pretty
like
crazy. That's cool.
I absolutely mind blown.
Like, I just find it interesting because if we look at I have a stupid ad that's popping up here, but if we look at his stats, and we'll move on over yonder.
Did you look that up on SoFIFA?
I did.
Dude, that's my favorite. Hey, that's my favorite app for FIFA. Watching the overall players and everything.
Yeah, it's
Best
the only
page ever.
It's legitimately the only spot where you can find formations for like past rosters because like there's not that much on Sassuolo, so like I had to spend a couple hours looking for that, embarrassingly. But we look at the essentially how Locatelli is here, so playing time, multiple minutes. So his passing stats, and this is, I believe, his performances, goals, and etc. Let's see if I can find it here. Whoops, it's the wrong one. There we go. Nope. I hate it because whenever you share the screen on this, it adjusts. There we go. Scouting report. Offensively, because this guy was an 8, right? The only thing that he has is assists, and that's below average.
Good. It's
that is
okay.
Below average. Because if you're an 8, they would look like Charlie.
Do you know this? I'm trying to think back to Swass. Yeah.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. But here's the idea, though, right? Because they didn't, his offensive percentiles are still bad.
Look,
this takes everything into effect.
Look, the problem is if you have him in your squad, you have basically one player that is entirely focused on defending. So if you have a player like that is entirely focused on defending, you need one more offensive-minded player that makes up for that. And that's the problem. We don't have that. And also it was Sassuolo that they also didn't have that big of a quality creator as well. That's the problem. You can get away with playing a Locatelli, and but you have to make up with a different great player. And we don't have right now midfielders that can share the ball and can be creative with the ball to make up for that. If you have a guy that plays completely off the ball, then you have, like I said, to make that up in different positions.
Sassuolo that year, I remember, was kind of punching above their weight. The team as a whole was doing very well. They were very excited. They were like the Atalanta, sorry.
They finished 8th that season. That was when they were playing their best offensive football. But I mean, with Loca being there and being so offensively oriented, as people were alluding to it, when I look at it, even like, for example, his pass completion percentages, and this is again, to Servi ball and all of it, because like right now at Juve, his pass completion percentage is a lot higher because he's just passing the Bremer all the damn time. But even with then, 68th percentile, 60th percentile, progressive passes. The only thing that's above average is his progressive passes. Everything else, mediocre. But when you look at the defensive stats, clearances, blocks, better for a midfielder, right? And again, I'm not dogging on him. I just want people to understand he works best in a double pivot with a creator next to him, with a true regista.
Yeah.
He is a defensive cover. He is, again, like a Sami Khedira was when we had Miralem Pjanic with those two in this formation. Allegri likes, this is one of Allegri's favorite formations, by the way, the 4-2-3-1. Fortunately, we can't run this formation because it's just not there. Because then you have Locatelli and Rabiot next to each other, and Locatelli is not that good. If it was Locatelli and Fagioli, as Vlad has alluded to numerous times, it's serviceable. It makes more sense if we were to switch to this. And then you had Dusan, Yildiz, Chiesa, Weah, or whoever. But that's where I wanted to illustrate it because, like, for example, if we go back to Locatelli's stats here, and Sassuolo was extremely offensive, right? De Zerbi ball. That's De Zerbi's balls in a sense. So when we go down here, Loca's best season with Sassuolo was his last season where he only got 4 goals and 3 assists. That was the year that Sassuolo fleeced us for 40 million. So when we look at it from that perspective, it's like, okay, great, but let's not paint these illusions of players of what they are when they weren't really that guy. It's it. Yet when other players are asked who is the most talented player in the roster, multiple players and coaches mentioned Loca. I honestly felt Hans brings a little bit more of that role offensively. Loca is, we're not saying that he sucks. Like, please don't get the allure that we're saying that he sucks. I don't want people to put this guy in a picture that he's not. Like,
we're just trying to be realistic.
Like, we're trying to make it and bring it back into a sense where, you know, like, Locatelli wasn't this world-class midfielder that was coming into Juventus. He wasn't. He was great defensive, great grit, great motor, great engine. But Loca needs a Jorginho next to him. He needs a Fagioli next to him. Loca isn't the main guy that's your creator. He's not that guy.
No.
I don't know if you wanted to go, German Dave, because I'm cutting you off.
No. I wanted just to agree, honestly. Like we said a couple of times, like, he's not the worst player. He just has like a specific use or a specific facet of the game. He doesn't have like any like great offensive abilities or anything. That's why he is solely used as a defensive midfielder, a holding defensive midfielder. He doesn't do anything offensively. And if you have a guy like that, like we said, you need a proper creator next to him. A box-to-box guy that can take the ball, dribble, that can share the ball, pass it, or whatever. He can't work if you have him like and that's the problem with him. He is supposed to play the regista, so he's the first midfielder to receive the ball. What does the midfield do? The midfield connects the defense to the attackers. And if that bridge doesn't work because you have to play around that guy because he can't share the ball, or you give him the ball and he just does some dink-a-dunk passes back to Bremer. Brother, Bremer is not the greatest center back on the world with the ball at his feet, and Locatelli passes the ball back to him and hopes for Bremer to do something. That's the problem we have with him. You can get only away with that if you have a proper creator next to him.
Can you think of a game that Loca has positively? So there was a couple. This was when he first came over. I want to say it was against one of the Veronas where he got the game winner. Or no, it was Torino. He got a long range shot against Torino. I think it was his first season. No, not this season. Previous season.
Sorry.
His first season. I think his maiden season.
Games. Yeah, and even just defensive, there are games where he's just slide tackling and he's getting down and dirty and doing the defensive work. But
the
offensively, he has not been there.
And to answer your question, Mark, about, like, for example, Loca, and this is where Juventino got sold on Locatelli, was that Turkey game in the Euros. Where, with all due respect, Turkey was absolutely atrocious in that tournament. They were not good. And he played phenomenally well in that game, and that was when Mancini was using the 4-3-3. And he was playing as that right midfielder, started that game, I believe, and was just balling out that game. And everybody painted it because, like, for example, not that many people watched Sassuolo that season. With all due respect to Sassuolo, even though they were giant killers that season, not that many people watched Sassuolo and understood how they played. They saw the Italy game. Juventino saw the Italy game. And then everybody started licking their chops. Oh my gosh, this guy is, he's that. And this is where I feel bad for Locatelli, because Locatelli was painted in this false light that he's this guy. He can do this. He can do that. And this is where, for example, Allegri tried it for one season. It didn't work out. Hence why he asked for Pogba. He wanted Pogba to be that guy. And unfortunately, Pogba could not be healthy and dope and all that other jazz. And that's why he asked for a Di Maria. That's why he was trying to bring in those players. So when I look at it from team building perspective, when I look at it from that, and I saw people were saying about Koopmeiners, if you put Koopmeiners and Locatelli, I think that neglects Koopmeiners' abilities. Because I don't think Koopmeiners and Locatelli can play together effectively.
No, you need to play Koopmeiners way higher on the pitch.
Yes. If you were to play Jorginho and Koopmeiners, it makes sense. If you were to play Xhaka and Koopmeiners, it makes sense. It works. Yeah. Which is why I'm not a big fan of the Koopmeier links that we have, that Juventus do have. I think that's an absolute waste of money and will not benefit us whatsoever.
It's quite expensive.
And for example, this Mercado has absolutely flipped the script entirely, with Anderson being off the table, and I believe it was Ferguson tearing his ACL, so both targets completely gone.
Now it's Gudmundsson. Like, we're going down the list of midfielders now too.
And this is where I get concerned about if it is Motta that takes over, is because can Giuntoli liquidate assets and acquire assets that can get Motta the kind of performance that you want out of him? Is there anything in Hans's game that's impressed you? I like the distribution. As for a team as stale as ours, I would have liked to see more than Hans. So I liked Hans's distributive abilities. My only thing that I had with Hans is the same thing that I had with a lot of the next gen players, is they're too small. Physically, they're tiny.
Inconsistent.
Yes. And that's the risk when you run with youngsters, right? That's honestly it. And that's why I'm not burying any of the youngsters. The concern is the same concern I have with Sule, which is the same I have with Yildiz, which is the same I have with Huysen, the same that I have with Hans. They are very, very small, especially if you are playing in that number 5 role. You are going to get knocked. You are going to get hit. You are going to get forced off the ball, which is why Jorginho is one of the best defensive midfielders in handling pressure. He's physical, he can handle the pressure, and he can move up and down the pitch. Hans has that ability. Hans just needs to do some bench presses, do some squats, do some push-ups, and drink plenty of juice. I think if Hans was able to bulk up a little bit more, then you could see Hans occupy that role. I think Hans offers more ball placement, more ball control than Locatelli does.
Yep. No, exactly my point. You can use Hans, and he gives you immediately more offensive ability than Loka does. The problem is that you lose some defensive stability. If he's isolated in an island, he has no chance in 1v1s.
No.
Against like strong physical attackers or strong midfielders in the trenches and everything like that. And I love Hans's like passing at everything he offers. The problem is he will get eaten alive in the midfield. That's the problem. But that's why also we played completely in a U shape against Inter, where he jumped in that game. We completely played in a U shape around him. Like, he didn't receive any balls. He may have had even less ball touches. No pause. Than Loka had with the 21 touches 2 games ago.
And that's pretty much it, right? Like, for example, people need to understand that youth players should not be the end all be all for your roster because of the size difference. These guys go
send Hans to my Berlin team in 2nd division. I take him.
Yeah, he'll get yoked. Just send all of the youngsters there. But in this summer, and this is why I was getting irritated with that video, is like it was a whine fest more than an actual productive discussion. Like, there was no productive discussion in those 7 minutes. It was just look at how they massacred my boy. They did this. This happened here. His press conferences are terrible. And it's like, dude, Allegri's press conferences haven't changed since his first stint. It's the same fucking thing.
My issue too, and we've seen this with certain content creators, journalists, what have you. If you're going to make a big deal, thumbnail, title, what have you, in this case, Allegri ruining Chiesa, and it's only 7 minutes of your hour and a half, give or take, show.
I said that to Dash as well. Yep, it's just a clickbait title.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
It's because a clickbait title.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm stroking ourselves off right now, but we've been on this, and I know we've been going in circles, but about 25 minutes now on this. On our clickbait title, we've been going for at least 25 minutes, and we're continuing, right? And yes, I realize it's clickbait. If people don't understand the thumbnail, by the way, it's a parody on IFTV's thumbnail. So check theirs out, and maybe it'll make more sense. But
hey, people, do your research.
Man, it's just like 7 minutes. Come on, man.
Well, and they did this 2 weeks ago. They did this 2 weeks ago when they said, "Oh, has Allegri ruined Juventus?" And now it's Allegri ruined Chiesa. What's next? Allegri ruining Bremer. Allegri ruining Marco's Day. Like it's just going to be a chain of titles, and it's like one of those things where, like, again, I'm not calling out the people, like their characters and what, like I could care less, right? For me, it's just not having a proper discussion. It's just, oh, well, I think the players, just because the season didn't go the way that they wanted it to, and they just want the season to be over, and this and that. And it's like, do you guys know what the objectives were? Like, yeah, sure, you can say playing once a week, but what was the objectives that were illustrated by Giuntoli? Giuntoli is the director. Like, he's the sporting director. Elkin said the same exact thing. It's qualify for the Champions League. As much as Juve fans hate to hear that.
Bottom.
Yeah. As much as Juventino hate hearing that, it's what they said in the summer.
It's this mentality, and I don't blame people of the win now mentality. It's Juve, we're perpetual champions. I understand that. But you have to play the long game. The fact that we didn't play the long game going up until the 2019-2020 season, we were playing that win now mentality. And because we kept that mentality, that is now why we are losing. So we have to reset, think more strategically, and set up for the future, because we can't win now. Despite how much we want to try and how much we want it, we won't win right now. And we're not. It's Inter's title this year. I mean, try to refute that, right? It's all but done.
And not with this team. I told Dash earlier, you can put Pep Guardiola, you can send 50 million to Manchester City and let them have us Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola doesn't win a title with this team. Rather, this team is the problem. It's not the coach.
He might not even win the title with the team he has this year. Yeah. Arsenal are just a couple points back. It's not a given.
And certainly not winning the Champions League.
And I think the main argument that people are going to throw out there and say, well, the team never improved over the last 3 years of play, like 3 years that he's been there. And it's just like, okay, great. You look at the departures and you look at who was replacing these departures. And it's like the fact that the team has been the same kind of has credence to it, right? If not defensively, the team's gotten a lot better. As far as the defense goes, it's been a lot better. Once Pirlo left, we were atrociously bad in the back, and then it progressively got better. Offensively, yes, there's a lot left to be desired, but when you look at the acquisitions from the offensive phase of the game, Di Maria for a year, Pogba for 2 games, Fagioli for only a season. You had Morata, he left. You had Dybala, he left. Like, what would you replace Morata and Dybala with? Milik? With all due respect to Milik? With Milik?
He is what he is.
And Vlahovic that couldn't drop a bucket of water into the ocean.
Yeah, it's just like you look at that, and it's just like, I could understand if you had that title that, Allegri's destroying Chiesa, and you break it down and you spend a genuine time breaking it down and saying, well, this is why he's destroying him because Chiesa's doing this and blah, 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 blah. And it's like Allegri is giving him a free roaming role, right? So he's got a free roaming role where you can go anywhere you want on the pitch, just create. It's extremely rare for a coach to give you that. And the fact that he has that, it's just, guys, there is, like I've always said, and it's always going to be my response, there is a multitude of issues and it cannot be pointed on a single thing. If you do that, then that means, unfortunately, you aren't great at critical thinking. Because asking yourself, why is this like this? And then doing a little bit of due diligence.
Yeah.
And you can
Like
figure
you
things
should,
out.
if you are a content creator or journalist or whatever, you should do your due diligence.
Yeah, and this is a problem. And I'm on the verge of wanting to go take a course in journalism just so I can cover my own ass in this, because I mean, I'm yelling at other people about this. But if you're a content creator, you are a pseudo journalist. If you're in this kind of content creation, you become, in a sense, a journalist. Whether you have those credentials or not, you're in a position where people take your word at face value, essentially, right?
They do.
We're the ones that spend the time doing the research. This is our passion. This is what we love to do. And we love giving it out to the internet, to the people of the world, the people that want to listen. They do that because we become the source, whether it's us, IFTV, Beppe, whoever else is out there. So if we don't do our homework, and yes, we're humans, we're going to make mistakes. By all means, call us out on that.
We're people, we're not gods.
If we don't, so if we don't do our due diligence, though, and at least do some of our homework, we're a disservice to our community. And then what happens is then that person, he goes to work or school, talks to his buddies like, oh, these guys said this, and they repeat things for verbatim. That's just how things are. The water cooler talk. You go to work, talk to your buddies. Hey, yeah, this is what's going on. Well, is it? It better be. It better be that the content creator did their homework and is at least giving you somewhat credible knowledge. Now, if it's an opinion piece, and a lot of this is opinion pieces, so you have to take that into account as well, that these are just our thoughts. We're just rolling. We're having a conversation. It doesn't make it right or wrong. But if we come out with news, so-called news, journalism, there's got to be some research, some data, some stats behind that. And if that isn't happening, unfortunately, you're doing a disservice to the community. And I don't know. I don't know which adjective I want to use at this moment to explain it, but I'm refraining because I could use a lot of bad words right now. But at the end of the day, it's not right. And we all need to do better. And if we're not doing that, and this is me talking to you guys, the community, if we're failing you guys in some way, I expect you guys to come back at us and tell us that we're fucking up. And because we need to do better in that case.
And we respond to all the comments that you guys give.
We comment on everything under the videos all the time. We comment on everything. Somebody gives his opinion, we give our opinions back.
Yeah, and we always try to have that discussion with folks. Like I don't think, unless it's like a troll comment, the only time that's when I just let Canadian Dave cook. But like when someone comes on the comments or even calls in or even any of that sits there and says, hey guys, I want to question you about X, Y, and Z and want to get your thought and blah, blah, blah. We'll sit there. We'll give you a detailed response. It's a bitch texting it at work sometimes because there's times where I'm at work and I'm like going at this and making a long ass and it's like, there's a long paragraph on the response. And it's, again, we want to keep it the way that we do it on the show. We keep it the same way on Discord. Goose, if Goose is watching this, Goose knows. Well, Goose asks a question.
Yeah, we've had it. Yeah.
I've always given Goose detailed responses on stuff. Same thing with Jeff with an X. Like when people throw stuff on there, we would address the comments on the Discord the same way we address the comments on the chat, the video, all of it. It's the same exact thing. So
and KB's got the word integrity.
And the last point of their video that I kind of wanted to illustrate is like, every time Allegri says a press conference, I've achieved the objectives that the club has set out to me. I've integrated the youth and yada, yada, yada. Do these guys not understand how huge that is to integrate 5 next-gen players into the first team? Like, they kind of just gloss over that.
By the way, almost all of them, like besides Yildiz, he's a very like, if you buy him, please 150 million. But the other ones, we built them up to have a value of around 30 million, every one of them. So yeah, the coach tanks the value of every player. Get the hell out with those.
You could potentially sell Huijsen for 30. You could sell Illing for 30. You could, if you wanted to, you could sell Moretti for 20 to 30 million. You can sell a lot of those guys if you wanted to. And that's one of those things where it's just like, I look at it and it's just like, how can you generally say that? Like, that's, oh yeah, you integrated the youth. It's like, dude, that's actually huge. You know how much capital gains Juve could get off of that if they were to liquidate all of those?
Yep.
Bonkers. And just, to end it there, and we'll get into some fun stuff to close here, because I know they want to talk about Fratese's sister and the Toronto Raptors that officially got a lifetime ban from the NBA. But
and we got Sunday League's coach's response as well.
Yeah, well, his wasn't even that big. His was this here. I'll pull it up for you. He said, "Hey, yo, come collect your boy because I got some hurtful numbers for you." And he says, Federico Chiesa, September, 5 games, 4 goals, 1 assist. October to April, 22 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. Last 12 games, 1 goal, 0 assists. When injured, Juve is 5. So essentially, when he's not on the field, Juve haven't lost with 14 goals scored and 3 conceded. So Juve play better with him off the pitch.
Thank you
I
for that.
don't
I hope he
like
added
that.
the heat map to that one as well.
Yeah, and you got to be careful with those numbers too, because just the numbers alone don't tell the situation either, right? But I mean, the fact of the matter is you take those numbers and have a discussion with them. When you don't have any numbers, and this is one of the things that drives me, is when you do have a clickbait title and you do want to accuse somebody of a transgression,
Yep.
but there's no data to back any of that up. It's just your feels. There's no credence to that.
Absolutely. And let me just add my last 2 cents to that one. In my opinion, the content creators that actually like create videos and podcasts or whatever on these topics are way more dangerous than the actual reporters. A reporter is supposed to give you no color commentary, just give you the facts, and you do what then you put your opinion on those facts. That is called journalistic integrity. To report something that you got from an actual source and report that exactly like the source told you, ideally quoting the person if it's not an anonymous source. That is journalism. The bigger danger for me is if you have these content creators sharing a video like that or a podcast or whatever, and they give you color commentary on something. You have to be educated. You have to research your facts, because if you build these, like, everybody that watches that will build their own opinion on their piece, on what they said. So the people are dependent on you doing your research properly. And if you don't do that, you share misinformation into the world, misinformation that actually hurts, and in this case, splits a fan base. That's
the last thing that we want.
And that is due to your misinformation you are spreading.
And my issue that I have with that is that they're trying to capitalize by making a title like that to capitalize on like the 15-year-olds that only know hipster ball, right? Like that's why you make a title like that, right? To get those goobers to click, to get the ad revenue, the ad share. That's why there's legit content creators that will make stuff like that. And I hate doing these kind of discussions. I hate talking about how content creators need to be better. I want to sit here and talk jokes. Like that's what we're known for. Is we come in here, we dick around, we throw Lukaku's crotch on the screen, we talk about McKennie banging Fratese's sister. Like that's kind of what we do. But like for the past couple of weeks, we've have to sit here on like almost like damage control in a sense, right? Where we have to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, another person posted title misinforming folks, and now we have to sit here and have this like adult conversation because.
I'm on vacation and I'm so pissed off that I'm here on my vacation in another country fucking yelling about it.
I just want just to do this all day.
You just wake up and then your heart is just pumping. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so those moments are crazy.
I just want to fill my contractual obligation to Vlad. But like that's it. Like that's it. We want to have fun. We want to dick around. Not sit here and have to make these discussions because unfortunately, people have like influenced a bunch of people and they're trying to make money off of that crap by doing stuff like that. It's not genuine. You're going to bury an entire coach and make his legacy like shit just because you want to do things for clicks. I bet you if Marcello Lippi was coach during the social media era, even though he is probably the most successful coach Juve have had, they probably would have said Lippi out. I guarantee you they would have, because Lippi didn't have some great seasons with Juve as well. And it's extremely frustrating, but I'm done.
And the name calling's got to stop. Whether it's an Allegri out hashtag or calling, and all three of us have been called Allegri stands. What's an Allegri stand? What does that even mean?
We don't even like him. We're just objectively talking about it.
We're Juve stands if we're any sort of stand. Again, whatever the fuck that means. We want what's best for the team. And if Allegri's doing great, we're going to talk about how great he is. If he's shit in his pants, we're going to talk about the shit in his pants. And that's it. That's how it is. We're not Allegri stands. This goes back, and I try not to talk politics anymore because that's a whole other wild ride. But I've been called a communist and a fascist in the same day before.
That's hot.
Because people name call. If you're name calling, it means you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It means you have no information and you have nothing to come back with constructively that you just start name calling. And if you start a conversation by name calling, you can go fuck yourself. Because you're dumb and you don't know what you're talking about. It's just straight up. That's how it is. You can unsubscribe right now because you're a fucking idiot.
Oh man, are you okay? It's like 2 a.m. over there.
It's 1:30, but yeah, I'm good.
We're in the same time zone finally. For what?
Yeah, you guys could do like videos early in the morning. No, but again, like that's the idea, guys. We're not Allegri stands. We've always been supporters of the club and what's in the best interest of the club. The idea is just please use your critical thinking. Ask questions. If you don't know, ask. Please. There's no such thing as a dumb question. If you're in our community, we hold you guys to a higher standard, especially the guys that contribute a lot, like your Vlads, your KBs, your Peepos, your Frankies, and those guys. But like, guys, let's be fans. Stop being tribalistic goobers. Like at this point, there's more people that are Allegri out fans than actual Juventus fans. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, go follow Inter or something. Like, why are you here?
If you want to be part of a dumpster fire, Napoli is just down the road.
Napoli, brother, that CEO of the club fits exactly your philosophy. Please go there. Hey, all of you fit perfectly together. They're just like Inter's lineup on the field.
And this is where I get irritated. Is why is Chiesa being made out to be the Juve god? Like I don't know why.
And Dal's got it. We just want Juve to win. It doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Allegri in and out. And we want to have fun again. We don't want to yell at each other.
We want to make
I just fucked off a bunch of people, but I mean, at the end of the day, like I don't want to have to fuck people off. I just want to get along and have fun and hopefully watch our team
win. Thank you for coming to our TED Talk. So now we've been sitting on this all damn day. Weston McKennie, absolute baller on and off the pitch. If you want to look at it, McKenny, if you guys want to look at a person that knows how to pick up chicks, Weston McKennie is your guy. Why? Because he has cracked the code with Fratese's sister. So, as you can see here, Exhibit A talks about the dogs, more pictures with dogs. McKennie playing with dogs.
Oh, brother.
Even though that's photoshopped. But yeah, that one of them is McKennie's. So this is McKennie's dog right here. My man Sky looking like a wolf with a sidekick. I think is this McKennie's dog? One of the two is McKennie's dog, but he is raising up Fratese's sister because one of the dogs is over there. I think that's I think that's McKennie's dog right there. So Weston McKennie. Look, if Juve can't beat Inter on the pitch, McKennie is beating an Inter team.
Hey, the brother is a world champ off the field. Now get him to do more on the field, please.
McKennie's scoring off the pitch. I just need him to score on the pitch. But McKennie absolutely.
His assists are good. He's a great wingman. Hey, just gotta go for that hole in one now.
Just gotta get that hole in one. But McKennie, absolute monster, mad class, just everything there, which I think is just, and kudos to him, right? He's having the season of his life, so absolutely deserves it. But man, I don't even know. Is there anything else we want to cover before we sign off?
Hey, I have this last one.
Oh my goodness,
baby,
John Tay Porter,
this baby right here.
My boy from Toronto.
Hey,
is he?
Hey Dash, you know, when you had that TED talk about Fagioli and questioning the integrity if you're betting on sports and especially betting on your own sport, this brother evidently didn't watch that episode.
No, he did not.
And he thought, hey, brother, play some parlay of 80K for me underperforming, and the brother won that 1.1 million parlay.
He won more than he would have gotten paid.
They have the specific game that was betted on. Hey, it's crazy. This brother got a lifetime ban from the NBA. The NBA pays you millions of dollars, even sitting on the bench, because I don't think he was a starter in any way.
No,
but
nobody even knows who he is.
Yeah, but damn, the brother just lost his career.
Oh yeah.
Dude, lifetime ban. A lifetime ban. Dude, he did the cardinal sin in sport. This is way worse than doping or testosterone or whatever. This is the cardinal sin because he played with the sporting integrity of basketball in this case. Dude, the brother effed up massively, and I'm sorry, but his career is gone.
It's good to see the NBA take a hard stance on this because they're not screwing around. They care about their product, is what it is at the end of the day, because it is a business as well. But yes, the integrity of the sport.
You have to if you let.
LeBron's NBA is genuine at this point.
Damn, my brother.
I'm just saying.
There you go. It's rampant. It's happening all over the place, and it's sad to see.
Like, and that's why, like, what was it? Someone was yelling at me about it because I was pissed about it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, why wouldn't you give him that?" I'm like, "Well, this is one of the reasons why. Like, how do we know that that's not the case? Like stuff like this, and this is why I never was a fan of professional athletes engaging in sports betting."
Yeah. By the way, I don't want them to be allowed to bet on any sport while playing sport. But to play on your sport and specifically on your own performance, brother, you effed up and you deserve what you got.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, it's one thing if you're betting on tennis, but
Like,
In your own league.
get ready to learn Chinese, brother.
Or get ready to learn some kind of Balkan language, because that's where it'll probably go. Just go out into.
I've learned a couple words. I'm ready.
Dave, you got how's your jump shot?
Not bad, not bad. I think I can make it.
All right. So
And by the way, so just one last point, because you
Cook.
said send him to the Balkan. Hey, the players that are coming out of the Balkan region are dominating the goddamn NBA right now. So don't disrespect them.
That's true.
No, they are. They are coming up.
That's actually
pretty hard.
true. That's so true. So final question for you two, with our good friend Cristiano Ronaldo, as I have his jersey ironically up here behind me. I should probably take that down before I get harpooned. Is he still a Juve legend?
I don't want him to sue you for 9 million, Dash. Better take that one.
So he sued Juve, got 9 million back in a civil court case, and yeah, there goes Juve's transfer budget.
And we're also going to mention that Tudo Sport initially reported the 19 million before actually.
Was it Tudo or was it
no.
Correa?
And no, they. I need to read the whole court case and the decision made by court. But he filed for 19 point something million, but only got the 9 million because of that. And I haven't read like anything into it. I can do that. Can talk another day more deeply about it. But yeah, he also like just got half of for what he sued for.
Yeah, and it was Gazzetta, sorry. Yep. But yeah, I mean, even 9 billion. And to answer your question there, is he still a Juve legend? I would say he was a legend that played for Juve.
Pretty much.
Is it the same with Bonucci?
So Juve released so breaking news, Juve released a press release out of this. So I have it on my phone here. Juve, with reference to the arbitration proceedings brought by Ronaldo against the company, announces today that the Board of Arbitrators have transmitted the parties the award rendered in the dispute. Arbitrators, by majority decision, acknowledged the validity of the agreement to reduce fees of the former player in the 2020-21 football season, as noted in the absence of any integration agreement concluded between parties. Therefore, considering that therefore they rejected the former player's request for nullity of the compensation reduction agreement and fulfillment. So much fucking lawyer speak. The integration agreement also rejected the request for annulment, is saying that essentially that Juve have to pay half of the amount that was at the player's request. So half of 19.6, which is 9.8 million. So players in the market. So players in the Mercado, don't go to Juve because you won't get paid. That's what this kind of fucking publicity is.
That was
the problem bullshit. The problem is it's the new chick on the block to shit on Juventus, and brother, we get bad press all the time. And honestly, I don't know what to do anymore, because it's like we are defending the club as much as we can, because people are coming at the club the whole time and calling us a cheating club and whatever, even though it's not true, or it's true for different teams as well. But everybody is singling us out all the time, and that's why, because of this image we unfortunately have in the public opinion, we shouldn't bring a guy like Greenwood in, because that would taint the picture even more, because that is an actual rumor that is still swirling around in all the pages and the reporters and everything, and that contributes to the bad picture. And please, like, as much as we can, we have to try to build that picture up, to hopefully let the past be the past, and yeah, just let it be.
Well, moral of the story is IFTV's next video is going to be Allegri hasn't paid Ronaldo. That's their next title.
Oh, I have a different one, but I can't say it right here And
It's a Discord thing. If you want the X-rated stuff, you got to get into the Discord.
Oh, absolutely.
That's no holds barred. We don't get demonetized in Discord.
And by the way, Vlad, I love to be a villain. I usually embrace all the villains. The problem is if you have UEFA banning you from all their European competitions. I don't know if that's worth playing the villain in that one.
Yeah, and there's the QR code.
The tribal chief has gone Hollywood.
Oh man,
yeah, that's why he's not back in WWE. He's filming a movie. Oh man, we've gone for practically 2 hours. I think, yeah, as Dahl says, I'd rather lean in. Let's do the heel turn. You guys gotta do their heel turn. But with all due respect to everyone, we've been going on for a while, so we'll kick the music. And I'm doing it now and not Canadian Dave. Yuck, 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 yuck. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in to this really long tinfoil hat show. We do hope that you guys subscribe. He is framing the YouTube cover as we speak right now.
I hope he's not framing us.
Oh man, that's awesome. But anyways, guys, do make sure you like and subscribe. We will do some pregame talk to get you into the weekend, and then depending on how the schedules line up, we'll do a watch along. Dave will be flying home shortly. I believe Dave's got another 2 or 3 more days.
25th. I'm home the 25th.
So he'll be home the 25th.
Another week.
He extended his stay. Bastard. It's not like I missed him or anything.
No, it was always 2. You don't know me.
I know, sadly. So you'll have German Dave and myself and potentially Canadian Dave cameos if he is awake by then. But again, guys, join the Discord, lollygag in there as well. And we'll catch you on the next one.